Can we measure chain wear with vernier calipers? Instead of a simple chain checker or indicator, some cyclists prefer a vernier caliper as a tool to measure chain wear. And not just cyclists. Italian manufacturer of high-end bicycle components, Campagnolo, suggests exactly this method for servicing its chains. Shouldn't we all be using this method then? Let's start with a huge thumbs up to Campagnolo for always being absolutely clear on chain replacement. You count 6 outer link plates and take a measurement between the edge rollers with a high-precision caliper gauge. Once this measurement exceeds 132.6 mm on any given segment of your chain, it requires replacement. The most obvious choice for a high-precision caliper gauge is a digital vernier caliper. Its jaws are usually thin enough to slide inside the links. Technically, this method is no different from a common chain checker. But instead of blind relying on the checker, you have everything under control. A number of curious Campagnolo owners went further and took the same measurement on brand new Campagnolo chains. They all reported something around 131.9 to 132.0. Thus, Campagnolo recommends replacement once the combined wear, elongation plus roller slope, on the segment reaches something around 0.65 mm. If we convert this into percentage by dividing 0.65 with 132, we get 0.5%. A familiar value, isn't it? Looks like Campagnolo has smartly adapted the 0.5% rule to its chains and has given customers the easy way which works with any precision caliper. Sadly, other chain manufacturers are far from being so clear and providing such data. Can we still take this method to our avail without the official check data from other manufacturers? With some inaccuracy, we can. The first option is just to replicate a common chain checker with a vernier caliper. Luckily, I've got an 11-speed Connex SB chain with a segment which has just come to 0.5% wear mark on this Bursman checker. The checker barely squeezes through, so it's exactly on the edge. Now let's measure the same segment of 5 outer plates with a caliper. It reads 107.26 mm. Today we measure in metric following the Campagnolo method. Now we can measure the 5 plates with a caliper on any other chain and know that above 107.26 this Bursman indicator would show 0.5%. The indicator is marketed to suit almost any chain, including Campagnolo, by the way. Would this approach be absolutely accurate? Of course not! This would be just as accurate as this Bursman checker. But unlike a checker, a vernier caliper gives you another, more accurate option. The second one. It requires taking an initial measurement, the so-called 0 point, on your absolutely new chain. This is a brand new 11-speed Shimano chain, thoroughly stripped off all packaging grease. The same 5-plate segment here measures 106.90, 106.88, 106.91. On average, 106.9 mm. With the Bursman indicator, 0.5% wear mark on this segment would come at 107.26 mm once it gets 0.36 mm longer from brand new. 0.36 divided with 106.9 of starting length equals to 0.34% of actual wear. Here, you might be willing to blame the indicator for inaccuracy, but that's just the way they are. To be cheap and versatile, the indicators have this inherent margins. By the way, is your indicator more precise if you check it with a vernier caliper this way? Anyway, let's get back to the caliper method. Once we measure the 0.106.9 mm in this example, we increase it by 0.5% to get the critical check value, similar to Campagnolo one. This would be 107.44 mm for this chain. In this example, we measured 5 outside plates for comparison with the indicator. Otherwise, it would be better to go for 6, like Campagnolo does. 7 would be further better, but a typical vernier caliper doesn't spend so much. It would be fair to assume that there could be more complicated and precise calculation behind the Campagnolo instruction. In particular, Campagnolo could take into account specific roller clearance, which in turn could be different for other manufacturers. True. Nevertheless, lots of cyclists with non-Campagnolo chains happily accept this in comparison to the inaccuracy of a common chain checker. Should you decide to give your vernier caliper a try, pay attention to carefully align the jaws with the rollers. The jaws are sharp and tend to slide to the edges, falling into these grooves and confusing you with false readings. KMC offers a special chain wear tool, which is, in essence, a digital vernier caliper with a chassis, spring-loaded and tailored to bicycle chain needs. The jaws are sized to perfectly match the rollers and not to slide away like the jaws of a universal caliper, which makes the KMC tool much more reliable and easier to use. I'd personally say it's still overpriced, but since KMC is the only one to produce such a tool, the company is free to put any price tag. The existence of this KMC checker serves as another proof that a simple digital vernier caliper is a great tool to assess chain wear. Like all other measurement methods, this one also has its cons. The major con is the absence of official supporting data from manufacturers other than Campagnolo. But the method is still far more superior than a common checker, so why not?